All right, good evening, everyone. This is Jordan Ray with my project planner.net. I'm going to show you tonight how to make your own API out of Google Spreadsheets. I had this idea earlier today. I made a dashboard kind of for a little project that I'm in with a bunch of other teachers, and I made this dashboard that kind of displays some links to files that we've all been using. Now, the problem that I'm trying to solve is that when I wake up in the morning, due to a 10-hour time difference, I am struggling to get all of 45 different social media platforms and then figure out where everybody has been posting. And so I thought a good thing to have on this dashboard would be like a corkboard type thing, where we can kind of summarize some of the most important things, and then they will display right here on this dashboard. Now, I've already reformatted the CSS and the HTML for this page that I created. What I'm going to show you tonight is how to actually go about programmatically injecting data from a Google spreadsheet. So let me go ahead and, Chrome apps, I think. I need to create a new Google Sheet. I need to start a blank one. Okay. And I'm going to put some fake data in the middle of this, and we'll just do first, second, third, fourth. Okay, I'm going to give it a name, just API. And we're going to jump right into the script editor tools. Script editor, and let's see what we can do here, the kind of damage we can cause. Now, I'm not used to talking as I'm doing this, and so hopefully I'm making some sense. I'm not totally sure that I am. API example, I'll call it. Okay. Now, saving project, API example. All right. I'm going to delete all the code that's in there, and we're going to start a new function. And it's going to be this doGet function that takes a parameter of E. Now, the doGet, what that is saying is that when a GET request is made to this web app, and I'm going to publish it as a web app in a few minutes, when a GET request is made to that, this is what it's going to send. The things from this function are what it's going to send, and the parameter E is going to kind of give us a callback function, which we have to give it in order to make these API requests to it. Then we get into this whole difference between JSON and JSONP, and I'm not sure that I'm qualified to explain all of that. We're just going to go with it. This is what we have to do. So now, let me get my spreadsheet, and I'm going to call the spreadsheet app service. I need to open by ID, and no, not open by URL. Open by URL, open by ID I want. And the ID is going to be this key that you can find in the URL of the spreadsheet we just created. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to throw it right in there. All right, so there. I need that sheet. Then I need to get, what am I doing here? Open by that. Well, that's open by if. That doesn't make any sense. No wonder it's not auto-completing. I need it to auto-complete because I don't remember everything. Get sheet by get sheet by name. Yeah, let's call it get it by name, and we're going to call it TLDR. And I think that'll work. To do that, I got to make sure that I rename this to TLDR, and that should be what we need. I'm going to space this out so it looks a little bit better. And okay. Now I've got the sheet. Now I need to get the values from that sheet. So I'm going to say results. Oh geez, I can't type. And sheet.get. Get. What am I going to call it? I think it's get sheet values. Okay. Now, to get these sheet values, I like the autocomplete because it kind of gives me a little starting point without sending me running for the documentation. So I need the starting row, starting column, number of rows, and the number of columns. And if I look at this, very simple. We're starting in the first row. We're going to go all the way to the end, and we're in the very first column and only the first column. So my starting row is 1. Starting column, 1. The number of rows are going to be get last row, and the number of columns are 1. And we'll see what that looks like. I'm going to log that so that we can all take a look at it together. Let's run it. Oh, I got to give it permissions. The first time you run it, you have to tell it that it's allowed, that the script is actually allowed to look at the spreadsheet that you are putting it into, and it certainly is. So let's take a look at those results. First, second, third, fourth. Perfect. That's all the data that I put in the spreadsheet. Now, before I move on, I do need to actually change some of this data because I've got these arrays inside arrays. Okay, a multi-dimensional array is not going to work because it just complicates things. So I actually have to pull the string out of this array, and so it's just one array, and I don't have these several layers of dimensions. So I'm going to actually, no, I don't want to concat. I want to reduce. And the reduce function in JavaScript takes 2 parameters, the first of which is basically taking 2 values out of that array at a time, and then it's going to do something with them. I'm actually going to return a concat b, and that should give me yes, that gives me the array that I want here. It takes out all of those extra brackets. So that's perfect. I'm getting the right values from this. Now I actually have to return it. And I think it's the content service. And yes, and now I'm going to create text output. Let me delete that content. And okay. So now, because it's going to be JSON-P that we're doing here, it's a little complicated. I'm going back up to this parameter here, this E parameter that I'm taking in when the GET request is made. And I'm going to call E parameters, and I'm going to call it callback. And then I'm going to add in a string parentheses. Then I'm going to add in JSON stringify. And I'm stringifying those results. And then I'm going to close those parentheses. And that should be what my content service sends out. I also need to actually set this MIME type, tell it what kind of data it's sending back. Content service, MIME type, and JavaScript. Yes, autocomplete is my friend. And that is perfect. Let's see here. I can't actually log that because this parameter is unset in here, so I can't. It's kind of difficult for me to debug it. If there's an easier way to debug that, not debug it really, but just to kind of test it inside here, I don't know what it is. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm actually going to fully deploy it as a web app, and I'm just going to call it my first attempt. It should be my only attempt. I think this is going to work. Cross your fingers. Now I'm going to copy this URL and we're going to throw it right into the bar here. And let's see what that actually returns. Undefined, and then it's giving me a nice looking array. Now this is undefined because I'm not giving it a callback in the top. I'll do this one more time, and I'm going to actually add callback, and we'll call that callback, I don't know, callback. Let's see what happens if I run that. Okay, so now you see it's trying to run this function, this callback function, but it's still actually showing me the array, which is perfect. It's got all of the data in there. Now I'm going to stop the video here because we've got our API built. The back end of this is working perfectly. Now we've got to actually put it into the code that will show us our little dashboard here. Where right now it's saying too long didn't read. This is going to actually display the list of the too long didn't read items. Okay, so I will stop there and continue in a second video. See you soon.